Here's a real case study that shows exactly how availability heuristic plays out. Availability heuristic refers to the mental shortcut of judging how likely or common something is based on how easily examples come to mind. Whether you're new to psychology or you've been reading about this for years, understanding this one piece can quietly reshape how you see yourself and other people. Here's the core idea worth understanding. The availability heuristic quietly distorts how people assess real-world risk, from health choices to financial decisions. Once that clicks, a lot of the related ideas in psychology start to make a lot more sense. Let's talk about the actual research behind this, because the evidence is often more specific than people assume. After heavy news coverage of a plane crash, people consistently rate flying as more dangerous than driving, even though driving is statistically far riskier. That's not just a talking point, that's the actual finding behind why this pattern gets discussed so much. Here's where most people get this wrong. Many assume their gut sense of how common or risky something is reflects the actual statistics. It's an easy trap to fall into, because it sounds reasonable on the surface, even though the research tells a more complicated story. Here's what's actually happening. That gut sense is actually driven by how memorable or recent an example is, not by real frequency, which is why vivid rare events feel common. It sounds almost too simple to be true, but that's usually exactly why it surprises people the first time they learn it. Here's a real example of this in action. People overestimate shock attacks and underestimate heart disease, simply because one gets dramatic coverage and the other doesn't. That's the pattern worth noticing, and it's a pattern that keeps showing up across different studies and real-world situations. One more thing worth clearing up. Many assume their gut sense of how common or risky something is reflects the actual statistics. But that gut sense is actually driven by how memorable or recent an example is, not by real frequency, which is why vivid rare events feel common. Once that misconception is out of the way, the rest of this topic gets a lot easier to actually apply. One more thing worth knowing. Researchers increasingly use large datasets and even machine learning to reanalyze classic psychology studies, checking whether older findings actually hold up at scale. Used well, that kind of tool helps separate genuinely solid research from ideas that just sounded convincing at the time. Now, a quick caveat worth adding. None of this is fully settled science. Availability heuristic isn't a single fixed fact. It's more like an evolving area of understanding that keeps getting refined as researchers run new studies and replicate old ones. It's also worth saying this applies whether you're brand new to psychology or you've been reading about it for years already. The specific studies and numbers keep getting refined, but the underlying pattern, the one thing that actually makes this useful in real life, tends to stay fairly consistent across most of the research. A question that usually comes up at this point is whether this applies to basically everyone or just some people. The honest answer is that the availability heuristic quietly distorts how people assess real-world risk, from health choices to financial decisions, and the effect size varies from person to person, but the basic pattern we just walked through tends to show up pretty broadly. So if you're taking one thing away from this, availability heuristic isn't about memorizing a single study. It's about building the right mental model. Understand what's really going on, avoid the misconception we just talked about, and let that one core idea reshape how you think about yourself and the people around you. And if there's a bigger shift buried in all of this, it's that availability heuristic rewards genuine curiosity more than quick judgment. You don't need to memorize every study. You need one clear mental model that holds up, one you can keep building on as you learn more about how people actually think and behave. That's availability heuristic, broken down the way I wish someone had explained it to me. Let me know in the comments if this example changed how you see it.